An open and honest conversation is so important for many parts of our lives. In fact, over 80% of us avoid talking about maths and numbers with our friends and family.
But for some of us, our negative relationship with numeracy could actually be a condition called dyscalculia, which makes understanding numbers tricky. But it doesn't always need to be seen as a disability, as our financial expert Aina Bain explains.
As Morning Live's financial expert, I regularly share advice on how to manage our money. So there are benefits, one-off payments and tax exemptions. So you may be surprised to learn that I have a condition called dyscalculia, basically dyslexia, but with numbers. I first realised I had a problem with numbers when I was in primary school and we were asked to do our times tables up to 12 times 12. So cue all the other children completing their times tables and going outside to enjoy the lovely sunshine, whilst I was still sat in the classroom, completely overwhelmed by what was in front of me. As time went on, I realised that there was just something about my brain that made dealing with numbers way harder than it should have been. Dyscalculia affects around 1 in 20 people in the UK of all ages and educational abilities. It's not a barrier to success, but like dyslexia, it does need understanding. Many people don't even know what it is.
Sounds like a calculator that's broken.
You're kind of on the right track. I've got dyscalculia and I struggle with numbers in the way that someone with dyslexia really struggles to read and understand words.
I'm rubbish at maths. I can write down anything. I'm good, but maths, science. Maybe I have dyscalculia.
Yeah, maybe. There needs to be more awareness because I had no idea what that is.
Is it where you can't read numbers or do sums?
Yeah, that's about right, yes. How are you with numbers?
Very good. I'm a software developer.
Oh, wow, okay. So you definitely do not have dyscalculia?
No, never.
No, I thought that was in the same brackets as like dyslexia, because like I have dyslexia myself. So like I'll see a number 9, but sometimes I'll say 4.
Well, a lot of people who have dyslexia also have dyscalculia and struggle with numbers. So.
Wow, double points for me then.
I'm meeting with Brenda Ferry, a specialist in dyscalculia and dyslexia from the British Dyslexia Association. What does dyscalculia look like? You know, is it just being bad with numbers?
So it's time, it's money, it's budgets, it's very much a fear of numbers.
Why have fewer people heard of dyscalculia compared to dyslexia?
It has actually been around a very long time, and we have a sort of view that not being very good or being rubbish at maths is fine, whereas literacy has been very important. In the tests, we would show them something like this and ask them which ones are more. And just because the apples tend to be bigger,
yes,
people think that perhaps there's more of those, but actually there are more cherries.
As time has gone on, I've just been able to drill it into my brain that just because something is bigger doesn't mean there's more of them.
Exactly.
Now, I was lucky to get a diagnosis at a fairly young age, and I've learned to deal with the challenges of dyscalculia and find a way through. But many people never get a diagnosis, or if they do, it happens after their school days are over. That happened to Bonnie Hazelwood. She is profoundly dyscalculic and struggles with everyday tasks that many of us take for granted.
So I struggled quite significantly, and it was only really at university that I could then start to sort of pick up the pieces and be taught in a way that was suitable and accessible to me. It was bittersweet in a way, because you do think, gosh, if I'd had this 10 years earlier, I could have, I feel like I could have got better GCSEs, for instance.
It's really frustrating that it wasn't picked up sooner, but I guess better late than never, right?
Through my diagnosis, I've found a neurodivergent community who are fascinating people from all walks of life. We have the same struggles, the same strengths. We really are making a difference in the world, I think, when we are just allowed to be ourselves and we are supported.
It's taken a lot of time and effort for me to get more comfortable with numbers, and my first instinct was to run away from them. I dropped maths as soon as I could at school, and I moved into music, where I thought I could just ignore my dyscalculia, because I'll be honest, I was a bit ashamed of it. But when I started writing about money, I realised I couldn't run away from numbers anymore. I had to face up to my fear of maths and be much more open about my dyscalculia.
just wants me to look after the dogs every now and then.
Katja Jones, star of Strictly Come Dancing and Morning Live's Strictly Fitness guru, is an ambassador for National Numeracy. It supports children and adults with numeracy, including those who are dyscalculic like me.
For me personally, it's fostering that positive attitude in children that's going to go into the bigger world. And I see so many parents whilst having numbers anxiety themselves, kind of put it on their children.
I wonder, what the consequences are for children if they grow up with that idea that they're not good with numbers.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot, but things like being faced with fraud. So I know when I get a phone call from, about my bill, for example, I'm not just looking and going, okay, I always call and go, no, I need a full breakdown of what is happening on this bill, even if I don't understand.
Do you have any advice for people out there who feel like they need to maybe get a little bit more comfortable doing maths?
So National Numeracy Challenge is how I started. You can just Google it and try it for yourself. And that's just that first little step towards improving your numeracy.
I think learning to manage my dyscalculia has helped me to empathise with others who struggle with numbers and budgeting, and rather than hold me back, I actually think it's made me better at what I do. So I'd love to see a world in which there's as much awareness of dyscalculia as there is of dyslexia, and more than that, wouldn't it be great if we could just be that little bit more open, honest and unafraid when it comes to numbers?
Oh, I think it's fantastic that Iona, our financial expert, is talking about dyscalculia because she's got it.
Yeah, what a journey
Didn't
she's
hold
been
her
on.
back.
No,
That's
exactly.
all.
Yeah, really good point, yeah.
And Rav, I'm going to come over to you now because later on in life you got diagnosed with dyslexia. I mean, did that VT or that film strike
I
a
thought
chord?
it was a brilliant film by Iona there. Yeah, so I had got diagnosed with dyslexia and dyspraxia quite late on in life, and there's a lot of crossover, as you just heard there, with dyscalculia as well. And I've always struggled with numbers, but to see someone like Iona, who, as you say, is our expert, who's just said, you know what, I'm just going to deal with this and make use of what I can do rather than what I can't, it's brilliant.
Yeah, you've always said that, haven't you? If you'd have found out a bit earlier on, things might have been very different for you.
Definitely.
And if you want to find out more about dyscalculia, we've put the details on our website. But actually, Rav, you're looking at a different set of figures for us today, or a set of figures, bank statements, a new law